Welcome to EFT Nation, your home for all things tapping. For show notes and resources, please visit EFTtappingtraining.com. We are your tapping hosts. I'm Alina Frank.
And I'm Craig Wiener. The information provided in this podcast is not a substitute for counseling or medical advice. The information presented here is meant to inspire and educate listeners, but are not guarantees of any kind.
I got certified, now what?
Now what? All the excitement and all the hard work to go through an EFT certification program, and then you're launched and ready to go, and the world is your oyster, and bound for success and abundance and all of that.
And I think that with anything, that any big goal that you reach, there is a potential for some post-goal reaching blues.
Kind of a letdown effect?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's that, because you're working so hard and under whatever level of stress you're under. And, certification can sometimes, for some people, it takes a few months. For some people, it takes a few years. And depending on how life has been along the way, it's a great achievement for which you should be really proud. But, once you get that certificate, it can kind of feel sometimes like the rug got pulled out from underneath you, because you had all this support and all this mentoring and all this interaction. Yeah. And then you're kind of on your own-ish.
I think that you're also missing regular access to SWAT partners and different SWAT partners, if your certification program hopefully provided that for you.
Right.
Also, a clear schedule. If in order to actually get through certification, you do have to have, or for a smoother certification process, you really do benefit from having some sort of schedule.
Right.
And now you're like, okay, that's it. That's all. That's all kind of over.
Schedule, accountability. Right. Somebody that you're checking in with, that's kind of watching over you and supervising, and again, those other people, that sense of community that you're connected with, of a shared goal and a shared outcome, something that you're working towards together and dealing with similar issues and concerns and challenges and achievements and all of that. And then suddenly that's not the same anymore.
No. And then put on top of that the whole idea of, I can't call myself a student anymore.
I mean, on one hand, we're all students, but you're not an EFT mentee. Or
you can't just say,
you're not a certification student.
Exactly. Can you come and help me, because I need to meet the requirements for this program, and I'll do these sessions for free for you, just for you to try it out.
I mean, you're always welcome to, but isn't part of this about actually starting to create a successful practice in business?
And there are people that don't, and there are people that really, give their services away, and that they do it for other reasons, or that they have some kind of existing life coaching practice, an existing massage therapy practice they're integrating EFT into, or a yoga practice, a yoga studio where they're doing yoga primarily and they're adding EFT as sort of an add-on, or a therapist, licensed mental health care professional, or an allied professional. You're just adding EFT to what your existing business is.
Right, but that's a really different population.
Absolutely.
If you're somebody that has an existing private practice in any of those different arenas, then you've got some sort of business and income foundation from which you're adding EFT to.
Right.
That's one population. But what about the certified EFT practitioners that didn't have that? They don't have that experience.
That's where the blues comes from, because it's now you realize, I'm actually starting a business, right? So if you have the fear of putting yourself out there, please go back to 2 podcast episodes that we did just specifically on that.
Yep. But, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But the knowledge base, the skill based, the strategy base of becoming a practitioner and learning your EFT skills well, that's one whole arena of knowledge and experience and skill set development.
Right.
But what about the skill sets that you need to be a successful practitioner? Many of these people out there have not been an entrepreneur. Many of them have never had to create a brand or a marketing funnel or the technology of website and social media and presenting. I mean, there's so many different things about that aren't necessarily taught in a certification program.
Yeah, so that's why we decided to do this, and it was by request. Actually, we had some students that finished certification, and they're feeling that sort of angst, and so we said, yeah, let's do a podcast on it. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about things that you can do. You can certainly do a lot of tapping, and we encourage you to keep up those relationships that you started in your certification program.
Tapping for what?
Tapping for, like we just said, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of like, I'm paralyzed. Now I have to say that I am a practitioner. But I think at this, there's definitely more knowledge that you need to gain in order to make it as having this as a profession and not just a little part-time hobby kind of thing. I think at the very beginning, one thing that's going to be the first thing that you need to think about after you start looking at, okay, so I'll back up. First things first, get your house in order in terms of creating a container, a business container. If this really is a business, then you need to treat it like one. So what do I mean by that? Yeah. Policies, procedures, legal forms, insurance, looking at the difference between being a sole proprietor and an LLC. Systems that like to have in place, such as schedulers, thinking about a potential website, your Zoom accounts. Will you see people in person? So that's a whole nother set of maybe insurance waivers that you need to have,
office location, home, what that outside looks the like. Office.
Yeah, we actually tell you not to invest a lot in a lot of those systems and websites and things like your own private office. We ask you not to spend so much money on that up front, because at this point there's so much more that you need to know before you make those decisions. And so having just a one-page landing page, for example, instead of a full out one, having your if you have to see clients in person, most people are doing Zoom these days. 99% of practitioners are doing Zoom. So if you really do need to see people in person, or you really want that, then consider a office share instead of having a lease that you're signing, and instead you're subletting like one day a week to start, for example. So those are things that you need to really be clear on. And then I want to have you start thinking about, look, there's a choice point. We really have seen through the years, and in some surveys that we did, we know that there are two clear paths to making it financially in this business. One is that you are on the trainer track. You decide, okay, I just met my first level certification. I'm going to go out there as a generalist. I'm going to do my best to get the word about EFT and what it does out there. And I'm going to start soon on my advanced practitioner requirements, and then really get used to teaching classes. And then I'm going to end up being a trainer at some point. That is a great place to go. And it's the slow road. Definitely the much slower road.
It's many years.
Many years. We're talking many years. So that's one. The other is a faster road, and many practitioners really have to make peace with this and do all kinds of tapping and really get clarity about calling themselves a specialist. And what I mean by that is deciding on a niche. And every business coach will tell you that it is really a very important step. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be working with these people in one particular small area of their lives and you'll be thoroughly bored, because really, we all know that a good EFT practitioner doesn't really stay on that one narrow little piece of what the client is presenting, but it is connected to so many other areas that no two sessions will ever be the same.
Can you give an example of what you mean by that?
Sure. If I have a client that's coming to see me over relationship challenges.
Okay, so your niche. So if your niche,
yes,
your brand,
yes,
was I'm Alina Frank,
yes,
and I work with people with relationship challenges, and if you even more micro niched, it could be something like relationship challenges, finding a new relationship after divorce.
Right. Yeah.
Depending.
So I've attracted clients that come to me for that. And one client sees that, wow, I worked with her on her college relationship, her relationship with her mother, where that the underlying belief for all of this, the connecting thread for all of the places that we've gone to and all the events we've worked on has to do with not feeling good enough. And then, so they realize that. And then they say, does this work too for test anxiety? Because my nephew is trying to get into med school and he's really terrified of it. Yeah, sure. And boom, you start your word of mouth referral. And that's such a winning formula. It really is.
Yeah. Or they might just say, you know what, I'm part of this support group. Would you be willing to just come and do a talk on EFT?
Exactly.
For this group that has nothing to do with the niche.
Exactly.
So then why is it so important, and why do you call it the fast road for having a specialty or focus or an expertise in an area?
Because people will find you. The first step in this is marketing yourself in a way where people will identify with, oh, she's the go-to person for that.
Do you ever hear from people we run a lot of social media forums and community groups. Do you ever get where people start asking referrals and they say, it doesn't really matter what they specialize in. I just need somebody that's good at EFT for me.
Never.
What do you hear every day?
When I don't see clients anymore, my practice is really helping and supporting practitioners, whether it be in the area of business or relationship coaching, mentoring, training trainers and things like that. So I gave up my practice a few years ago. But I tell you, Craig, with I was thinking about it the other day, 7,000 clients. I think I had 3 that I really remember saying, so I had some regulars who would say, I'm coming to you for a tune-up because I know you're going to find something that needs to be worked on. So that I had plenty of, right? A few of those. But then can I name on one hand how many people called and said, I don't know. I just, want to do some tapping on, whatever, improving my life.
What do you hear on a daily level for people that are looking for practitioners?
I need help with money issues. I'm feeling stuck in my business.
Who do you
I'm
know
trying to lose weight.
Who do you know that really knows a lot about EFT and
with
kids
autistic children?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who do you know that's really good with working people with EFT and cancer?
Yes.
Who do you know?
And I do. And as soon as you just listed that
right.
list, I already have people in mind.
Yep.
I go through my mental Rolodex and I have someone.
Now, does that mean that you don't know hundreds of other practitioners that could probably work effectively with that?
For sure.
Great. But where does your mind go? Who tends to specialize with this? I mean, that's what people do. I don't care if they have not EFT as well.
Yeah.
Who's the best plumber that's really good at putting in da-da-da-da-da-da?
Yes.
And who do you know that's really good at? People are looking for who's the best at for them.
Exactly. I would not hire a landscape gardener who specialized in subtropic Miami zone. I want someone that knows what to do in coastal 8B planting zone. With lots of shade.
Right.
So
but why? Because they are most likely to understand
yes.
what problems I'm having and be able to help me solve them. That's what we're all looking for. And when you identify with a particular niche or expertise, not only are you more likely to get referrals, but people, if they're not having that problem, will think, oh, I have a friend who could really use that,
Yes.
or you can help.
Yes.
And not only that, but as you grow and you develop your practice and it turns into an EFT business, there are programs out there that are looking for people to interview or to write things on and all of that. And when you have a focus and a brand and a niche, they're going to be more likely to find you.
Yeah, and you can go and listen to the full podcast about niche. We did that because it is so important.
Okay.
But let's talk about some important actionable steps to take right now. You just finished getting certified.
Okay. All right. So the important first steps, I would say, is starting to get clear on a focus. That's one. But beyond that, you got to start getting the word out, right? You got to start looking at letting people know what you do, which means being able to have some bridges about what you do, to be able to explain it in a coherent, not overly woo-woo, oh boy, that's a tough question. Why did you ask me? Let me figure out a way to how to say it.
Right.
And whether you have business cards or you're just talking, getting in the practice of sharing with people what you're doing now.
Yes.
And how you're helping people. That's really important.
How about reaching out to all the people that you practice with over the course of your certification, telling them you've launched your business and now they can book with you officially.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a great strategy.
Mm-hmm. Which means you better also have in place
all the things that we talked about.
The things that you talked about. What are my fees and what are my policies and all those things that are important because they're going to come up.
Yeah.
Like when the first person asks you, well, can we just do like one freebie or one tryout one and just see how it goes? I mean, all those things about getting kind of your ducks in a row first to open your practice are important to think through.
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing that I would say is it's important to keep a schedule.
Right.
Because now that you don't have one, it's easy to get lost in social media or, suddenly find that it's 4:00 in the afternoon and you have no energy to do it. So even if you don't have any clients, have some kind of schedule and book it in your calendar that Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays you're in your office, quote unquote, space, whether that's your kitchen table or it's some space that you're subletting, where you are going to do business-like stuff. So sit down, think about those policies and procedures, or get out the contact list and see who might know people that might be interested in doing EFT with you, such as your chiropractor, your acupuncturist, you have a friend who's a therapist who might want to collaborate with you. You send people to her that are just beyond your scope of practice, and you tell her, well, this is what I'm comfortable working with, helping people reach their goals and doing some tapping with that and giving them a sense of what you're doing. So reaching out, spending that time that you otherwise would have been just doing certification stuff on, you really are scheduling that for building your business and moving towards feeling like, okay, I'm here, I'm working, this is my work for today, this is what I'm doing, and then tapping on anything that has you procrastinate.
Yep. And I think at the beginning, I mean, always, but especially at the beginning, we're being a little bit of a Johnny Appleseed. We're laying lots of seeds without attachment to any one happening.
Yeah.
Right? I'm starting to talk to people. I'm reaching out. I'm finding collaborations. I'm looking maybe for opportunities to give a talk. I'm starting to do a little bit of writing or blog writing. And all of these will start to grow and lay seeds, some of which, I think often the clearer we are on who we're trying to reach,
the easier it is.
Right, the easier it is to actually have somebody sign up. But sometimes, and through no fault of their own, you're just laying a seed that might not ripen and start to kind of blossom until the springtime, which is 6 months from now. So, at the beginning...
And don't talk to them as if they're the prospect.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, don't think of your listener as the person that has the issue that you're going to resolve. They're listening as a potential referral source for you.
Good point. So it might not be the person right now. You might be laying the seed for their sister.
Exactly.
Or somebody else.
Yep. Right? Exactly.
So definitely tapping on expectations that every time you have a conversation with somebody about EFT that they're going to become a client.
Right.
Right. And making sure that you make it very easy for them to be able to contact you, reach you, find you, have a consult with you. Keeping things simple and open are really important at the beginning. But also finding out what helps you to keep the enthusiasm and the energy running, which is often some sort of support system and accountability, tapping partners and all of that. Because at the beginning, there are a lot more as you're learning how to do this, a lot more, I don't want to say failures, but like lack of
trial and error,
easy success.
Yeah.
Right.
And learning from what you can improve on.
Yep.
So if you are, I hope we've given you some great tips. I think that this comes from years and years and years of working with practitioners just starting their businesses and launching their practices. If you want to learn more about our program designed to help practitioners with this, go to EFTMBA.com. And that is our EFT Marketing and Business Academy. We open our doors only once a year. The doors are now open. We are reviewing applications. We're starting a small group cohort happening in the first week of May. Yeah. We've got a special right now. So if you sign up before April 15th, you actually get a bonus of attending an online training with us that will save you hundreds of dollars. Mm-hmm. And really exciting this year, we decided to really change the program. And it is, what is it, a fourth of what it cost last year and the years before?
Less than that.
Yeah. So it's a deal. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot more flexibility in the program. So if you thought of it before, please check it out again. And we hope that you have a wonderful launch and successful blossoming out into the world. And know that Rome wasn't built in a day. Mm-hmm. You got through certification. You'll get through this too. At least, what I mean by that is the early steps. Right. Like there's a lot to do. There really is a lot to do. Yep. Once you get that piece of paper.
But you can do it, and you have a great tool to help you get through those stages.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Keep on tapping.
Thanks for joining us today at EFT Nation. And remember that you can find show notes and previous episodes at EFTtappingtraining.com.